So thank you. I'm going to talk about Tetra Pak. And we are a three business company based on three different areas that has to do with basically everything that is connected to packaging food manufacturing. We are a private company. We have about 25,000 employees. Our company is focused on making food safe and available everywhere. That's our mission. Our promise is basically protecting what is good. We are basically leading the industry around sustainability now, basically. This is our objective, our strategic objective. And my name is Alberto Barroso. I'm head of decision science in Tetra Pak. I've been in this industry of data science for some time, 20 years now. I started in supply chain analytics. I work a lot in topics around optimization. And then I have been basically working in very different areas from healthcare industry, pricing, marketing, HR, so trying to really find use cases and applied economics. I'm a PhD in applied economics. You will see that that's why we are called decision science, my unit. We are very focused on optimization of decision making, understanding not just the evidence, but also trying to understand how humans reflect about decision making. This is at the core of what we do. So where we are actually leveraging AI in Tetra Pak, we are leveraging AI in three different ways. First, for internal use, basically, how to optimize our internal decisions. So, for example, how to optimize our supply chain, for example, or how to optimize our sales process, how to optimize our pricing strategy. So everything that has to do with internal optimization. But also we are actually using AI for developing new products and services. So how to, for example, make machines more efficient, more sustainable, with less energy consumption, less water consumption. So basically that's at the core of basically products and services. And third is actually using AI for enabling new business models. Imagine that you can actually use data and understanding basically our customers and even going farther. We are a B2B company, but we would like to really understand you as a consumer and optimizing decisions basically to, for example, reduce CO2 emissions. This focus on sustainability is actually really a promise that we have made. So we want to be completely net zero neutral in 2030, and we want to actually make 2050 the year for actually making the value chain zero neutral in this industry. So our focus is actually on this side of this story. We want to see the change impacted, and that's basically where we have put a lot of pressure in the rigor of the AI. And I will talk about how we have done this. The current industry context, we see that there is increased competition. In general, there is a word that we typically say, there is a paperization of the industry. We are changing from basically plastic to paper, and that is changing a lot the whole packaging industry. So we are using more and more actually digital channels to buy stuff. So we are getting a lot of competition from Amazon, for example. So this is where we see basically that we need to optimize actually our packaging content. We want to make it completely renewable, completely zero neutral. This is where we are investing more and more. Every year we are investing around 100 million on this, how to remove all these plastic barriers, but also the alufoil barrier. So we have actually done this for the first time last year, where we have reduced completely the aluminum barrier of our packages. And if you are not in the industry, you may have the question about, okay, but why you have these layers, basically. Our objective is to avoid any kind of bacteria entering the package. That's basically the main objective, while the package and the food that is inside can last. So basically, we are reducing waste. This is the objective of my company. The area of processing, which is very much focused on how to transform food, this is actually where we basically, from the dairy, to the plant-based food, to fermented food, to powder food, to any kind of actually transformation process of food. This is where we actually build plants, build assets, build technology around that. So we are actually seeing that sustainability is the license to operate. This is actually where we are very much focused. But also we have suffered this supply chain volatility. I mean, our current context in terms of geopolitics is pointing that more and more uncertainty is coming. And we are seeing that actually in our supply chain. This has been disrupted several times in the last years. So this is becoming a new normal. And of course, information flows are extremely important for optimization. And then you see these new consumption patterns. We want to be more sustainable. We want to actually consume less dairy. We want to actually consume more plant-based. So we have a lot of solutions connected to plant-based food. This is where we actually are invested a lot in fermented food, for example. So this is my company. It's an interesting company, but I want to talk about my journey in this company. So I started in 2018, where we actually developed the decision science, or data science actually at that point, Center of Excellence. We focus a lot on use cases. So we wanted to really bring use cases. This is practical stuff, how to optimize decision making. And we built a functional specialization. Our team was very focused on different domains like operations, supply chain, sales and marketing, HR and finance. So we wanted to really connect with the customer, connected with our business. Then in 2019, we started actually doing experimentations. So we found our first scalable use case for our customers. So this was actually a very important step forward. We actually proved in different customers that we could actually optimize cheese. Cheese is basically a process, is a very linear process that has to do with hundreds of different parameters. But at the end, there is basically an optimization process where you have moisture, you have water, and you have fat, but also you have pH, you have salt. So you have basically an understanding of, what are the parameters of the process basically from the cow to the milk to the customer and till the batch until the final cheese. So we started using machine learning methods. We started actually testing those machine learning methods in randomized clinical trials, and we started actually seeing a big impact on the cheese moisture and the cheese quality. After that, we actually started, measuring impact. This was actually where we focus a lot on understanding basically evidence. In 2020, and I will bring this reference of a framework that we use. It's called Theare framework, and it was actually released in a paper during COVID actually. This framework is actually to understand scientific evidence. So during COVID, a lot of scientists have a problem around sharing and understanding evidences. And this was the time actually when this paper popped up. So we stole this paper and we reflected about our way of working. And I will explain you in a minute how it works. But it's basically about understanding evidence when we develop AI from the beginning. So you want to actually start using standards of back testing, doing randomized clinical trials, and then actually having some kind of continuous control of your performance. But it's basically, it's a scientific process driven. Then in the last year, we have been very much focused on running a program called Accelerating AI that I'm driving. This is a program focused on how to really start using use cases, so understanding how to start changing behaviors of decision makers. So we have added more use cases. We are actually seeing those cases, impacting our organization. But also we have seen the challenges of people and humans taking actions with evidence. We are typically very constrained about understanding scientific evidence or statistics. I think that we all know. So we think that there is a need for creating frameworks to create incentives and to create incentives for applying rational decision making. This is actually very relevant these days, where AI has actually, created very seamless speeches or very, impactful conversations. So more and more, we are going to need a framework for evidence-driven decision making. So we are working a lot on this. And we are thinking actually in the future, of course, so we are very much connected now with this hub and spoke idea of, getting closer to the customers, really working and, very partnering with business users. So what is this about? I want to talk a little bit about the Accelerating AI program because it started with proving the value. It started with having scientific evidence of our AIs. It cannot start with just a bunch of data and a bunch of spurious correlations. So that's why we focus on this theory framework. So now we have about basically 19 use cases where we have, 13 of them already proven value using scientific evidence. 11 of them we have actually started testing them and getting results in clinical experiments. And 3 of them are actually in production. So continuously these AIs are recommended decision making. This is in 7 months of the program. So we want to bring transparency to the organization about how this works. It's basically about understanding, if we have passed these toll gates, what are the proven evidences, and how we need actually to start bringing a change, bringing a different way of taking decisions. So all of the areas of the organizations are impacted today. So from finance to HR to supply chain, procurement, to services, maintenance, to processing solutions, all of them, they are embarked into these use cases. And as you can imagine, this is just crazy, of course, but it's basically about gathering people and reflecting about why these use cases make sense. And we are actually interested in getting more trust, of course, but this trust is just enabled by speaking about these use cases and starting bringing evidence to everyone in the organization. So it's basically it's bringing transparency into the journey. Now, the bottleneck is change behavior. This is the bottleneck. And that's why we changed the name of the team. I changed the name of the team. It was basically about 4 years ago. So as an applied economist, I have seen this industry evolving a lot from advanced analytics, data mining, bringing machine learning into the top, and then now AI. I see that there is a potential, of course, a big opportunity with AI these days, of course. Large language models are coming and they are here to stay. But also, I see the risk of missing completely the point of why we're using these models. I think more and more we are consuming AIs in all our decisions. The risk here is actually how we can reflect if this is a good tool, if this is actually adding value. In this industry, by the way, B2B industry, we rely a lot on machine learning. So it's like, even that we have generative AI, machine learning is 90% of our use cases. So we actually have focused a lot on how to make safe and reliable AI. That's basically our focus. Key learnings for this journey I want to bring. The current project or the current Accelerating AI program is now basically impacting around 900 million per year. This is a mix of cost reduction by also basically optimizing decision making internally, but also where we have actually seen is that the value is outside Tetra Pak. So we see actually that AI can bring new business models for the company. So this is actually a big part of this 900 million. We also have seen that just by interacting with people, that basically not just 19 projects could be actually achieved. We can multiply this, and we have seen more use cases coming. Cases that are connected into different units, like, for example, optimizing pricing together with optimizing TCO, or optimizing supply chain at the same time improving procurement. So there is a lot of cross-fertilization by running these programs. Now, where is the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room is basically prioritization. So as a company, any company is optimizing for improving or taking basically decisions that we know and basically run it with the more efficient. But it's difficult for us to actually change the way we work. And this is where AI actually is coming. Like the big opportunity of AI is for disrupting decision making, for creating innovation. So we have bottlenecks on prioritization. So, for example, every time we prove the value, we would like to get, faster testings, for example. Start, for example, a big test and doing randomized controlled trials, for example. Now, this should be basically the way. But instead, we don't have that reference. We don't have this process in our DNA. So we are working a lot on the transformation. So we are working a lot on integrating KPIs to move basically decision-making and prioritize decision-making in a different way. This is a corporate direction. Then the last part is customer focus. To be able to actually create value with AI is not just about understanding the data. It's actually understanding how humans react to this data, how we consume this data to make decisions. Now, this closing loop, the last part, sometimes is not so easy. So we are working a lot on closing loops. So actually, we are transforming the way we connect our customers to reflect about those loops. Just to put an example, in an ice cream factory where you have basically hundreds of different parameters, the production is running really fast, decision makers are actually very few. Vast majority of the factory is automated. Now, which decisions are taken every day? This is actually one of the key elements. We started the journey controlling hundreds of thousands of different parameters, but there are few actually of them that are actually changed by decision makers. So this is the prescriptive side of the story, and this is actually the key side of the story. So we are transforming the way we also control data. And we are also working closer to these customers. Actually, co-creation in this context of AI is actually key. So we work more and more with partners, like Vision, for example, but we also work a lot with customers. So we work in a very collaborative manner, because this is the only way to crack these problems. So that's basically my last comment. Happy to take questions from you. Very excited of being here. And I leave the